Hello, everyone, and welcome to the porch. I am Deb, and I'm here with Gatlin tonight. Hello, Gatlin.
Hello,
It is so
Deb.
nice to have you. Hi. And so tonight we have been talking. I want to get right into this because we have been talking about connecting our inner souls, our inner spirits, and reconnecting that, and really living into who we are and figuring out who we are. And so I always have this little thing. Let's take a deep breath and breathe in God's love and breathe in all of the good things around us. And then we can exhale all of the stress and the strain. So, but Gatlin knows a little bit more about that than I do, and I'm going to have him introduce to us some of the breath work that he does and explain to us what it actually is, because I don't know. So, if I'm going to give you the floor, and if you could explain to us what it is you do. Hi, Wessa.
All right. Thank you, Deb. All
You're
right.
welcome.
Yes. My name is Gatlin Fenwick. I'm here in Reedsburg, Wisconsin, and I run an organization called the Blake Matthew Mindful Memorial Foundation. And we exist to help people in our community and beyond in other communities um, have access to mental health care. And it's outside of the conventional realms. So, like, say, a person suffering from depression and they go and visit the doctor, it's a very common route to maybe get on an antidepressant and maybe talk to a talk therapist. So the hallway is very narrow. It's sort of tunnel vision. They kind of have a similar process that they follow for each person, no matter what their mental health ailment is. And
Great.
I discovered on my journey, what started this whole foundation was we lost our son to suicide, and
I'm sorry.
we in, we inherited. This was back in 2020. We inherited $6,000 from him, and we issued a scholarship to a student who was pursuing a mental health career, and it just blossomed from there. It After we did our first scholarship, we had a fundraiser, and fast forward 5 years, we've raised almost a $500,000. And
Wow.
just last year, last September, we decided to start a new program that can help people in our community today. And that was when we launched what we call the Tin Man.
I'm thinking we lost you, Gatlin. You guys let us know in the comments if you can hear Gatlin or if it's just on my end. If you could let me know in the comments. Let me see if I can get a hold of him because it just kind of went out. So let me see if I can add him back. Sorry, you guys. In the comments, can you guys hear Gatlin? He's gone. Okay, that's what I was wondering. Brenda, do you have his number that you could let him know? Because I don't have any way to contact him otherwise besides Facebook. Um, and so, okay, so we lost connection with Gatlin, but we will bring him back. So Brenda, if you could call him quick, is there a way to get a hold of him and let him know to log back on? And then we will go from there. So, and as we're waiting for Gatlin to come back, we're really talking about all of this wonderful foundation that he started, and I'm so excited to hear his full story and what he is doing with this breath work therapy. And he is okay. Let me see if I can add him in again. Nope, he's not there yet. So, but we're going to get him back. We're going to find him. We're going to find him. But this breath work therapy. And, here on the porch, we have been working a lot on connecting our spiritual self. There you are.
Okay, I'm back. All right.
Yeah.
When did you lose?
Ooh,
When
okay.
did?
We found him.
All right. Do not disturb. What part did you lose me at?
Right when you were telling us about the coins. The
Okay.
Yeah, in
Yep.
September
So
you started a new program.
yes, and since then we've issued 125 coins, which represents 125 wellness grants that we've issued to people.
Wow.
And And each coin is tailored to the person's specific needs based on what they are open to. Maybe there's some things that they're opposed to. So after we get to know them better, we issue a wellness grant that is tailored to them.
Okay,
And
so one question as you're going through that, the wellness grant is tailored to them for what?
okay, so they reach out to us. They apply through our website for anyone struggling with a mental health issue.
Okay.
Okay. So people come to us who are suicidal. People come to us with OCD. People come to us with uh, the whole spectrum. People come to us with relationship problems. People come to us who aren't necessarily depressed, but maybe they just feel like something's missing, or maybe they feel stuck, or they just feel maybe numb, and they want to feel more alive.
And whole.
So they're You're right, the whole spectrum. And we've had 12-year-old kids apply. We've had 75-year-olds apply. So there really is no strict criteria where this grant, this wellness coin is available to anyone who applies. We are limited to what we can give out based on our budget, but everyone everyone deserves access to mental health care, and it's not always a financial barrier that keeps people from receiving that access to mental health care. It could be social stigma of just not feeling comfortable talking about it, or it could be it's a financial barrier, or maybe it's just ignorance or innocence and just not knowing what other things are out there besides the conventional route of taking a pill to feel less depressed and going talking about your problems to a therapist. That doesn't work for everybody, and I'm not discounting that. It's a very good thing that has helped a lot of people, but the point is that everyone is different, and the journey of healing or transformation or whatever you want to call it is unique to everybody, because our backgrounds are different, our interests are different, our maybe religious beliefs or philosophical beliefs are all different. So we really tailor these wellness grants to the individual.
So do they
In
come in for like an interview then? Is that what so you get to know them? You get to know them.
Yes,
And then you can say, these are the therapies or these are the things that we have to offer to help make you whole. Is that how that works?
exactly. We call it an onboard meeting. When somebody applies, they come in and they meet with one of our meeting facilitators, and that's where we get to know them better. That's
Okay.
when they get to understand what the foundation does, and that way we've found by doing that we can really issue a coin that has their signature on it, and something that they will look forward to doing instead of saying you have to go do this. There are so many different options out there. We assign wellness coins that give people access to breathwork coaches, meditation coaches, yoga, acupuncture, spiritual groups, women's groups, men's groups, sound healing, Reiki therapy. I mean, the whole spectrum of what can help a person on their journey to wholeness, to wellness, to feeling the joy of life. We're naturally joyful beings. So to be able to find that, peel back the layers of the onion to get back to where that wholeness was when we were born. So it's more about unlearning than it is learning. So
I've been doing a lot of that lately.
good. That's good. Me too. And it's a never ending journey. We never reach a point where we don't have a bad day. Like that's just not a thing. So it's, you know, balance. That's my word for the year. Like 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Because on one hand, we could indulge into all the desires of life and the attachments that we have with our ego that just only results in suffering, or we can become a renounced monk and not have any desires. And so there's two very opposite ends of the spectrum, and the idea here is to find that balance to have that stillness, that presence, that peacefulness and natural compassion that we are as humans, while also having the other foot in the human world, because the word human being, or those two words together, we we often use the word human as if it's like a shorter version of saying the word human being. But there's the human part of us, which is on this horizontal plane. It's the 3D world that we live in, that we're very familiar with. It's the doing, it's the thinking mind, it's everything we can see, touch, and observe with our senses. But then there's the being part of us, and that's a vertical plane. That's the divine part of us. This is the spiritual part of us. Call it soul, spirit, universe, God, Tao, Jehovah, whatever your modality is.
Right.
That word of higher power, or I like to call it heart power, because the word higher implies that it's up or that it's out there. And I like when I coach people who are of the Christian belief, I like to remind them of what Jesus said in Luke 13 something. The kingdom of God is in the center of your heart, and do not look over there. Do not look over there. You will not find it. It is not out there. It is not that next job. It is not that next boyfriend. It is not that next house that you get to live in, or that event that's going to take place. But it's just the natural part of our ego and our attachments to always seek that outside gratification, to knowing that you're thinking that happiness or true fulfillment lies somewhere out there. And the idea of God, or whatever you want to call it, being out there is also false. It is right here. The power to transform, the power to be that natural, joyful human that you once were, um, is in the center of your heart. And this is a good segue into the breath, because this is I want to start by talking about the two parts of us. So thinking of ourselves as two parts that are forming a relationship. But we often hear the term mind and body as if they're two separate things, um, even though our mind is within our body. Um, the phrase mind and body implies that we have this computer up here running this robot down below, but we are so much more than that. We're not we're not trees, right? But
Right.
we are one thing. We have one body. We are this one thing. We are a being of action. We make decisions. We wake up in the morning, take a look in the mirror. Right now I'm waving my hands like this. I'm doing this on purpose. This is the conscious part of us. We consciously chew our food. We consciously make decisions, go places, move our bodies. So the conscious part of us is the part of us that we're all very familiar. Really can't not be familiar with the conscious part of you. But then there's this other part of us. There's this more mysterious part of us, and it's the unconscious part of us. It is the part of us that beats our heart. You know, we don't often say, "I beat my heart," or we don't often say, "I digest my food," even though that's exactly what our bodies are doing, and our heart is beating, but we don't have to tell it to beat.
Right.
And so this unconscious part of us is this part of us that it's the same part of us that beats our heart, digests our food, regulates our hormones, and does all of these things for us, because this part of us, this unconscious part of us, loves us very much. This is a part of us that's always been with us, and a part of us that always will be with us. But it's a part of us that many of us don't have a good relationship formed with. So there's this conscious part of us that we're very familiar with, and this unconscious part that we're less familiar with. This unconscious part can be the more mysterious, mystical part of us. But when we connect with our breath, we are speaking with our conscious self to our unconscious self to form a better relationship. And that wholeness comes from having a relationship cultivated between your conscious self and your unconscious self. And the language of breath philosophy teaches that the breath is the perfect bridge to use as the communication between those two parts of us. And it's easy to understand when you realize that breath is the only vital bodily function that we can choose to have conscious control over, but we don't have to. So we will breathe as we will while we sleep. We don't have to tell ourselves to breathe. Just like we blink automatically without thinking it. But if we want to sit there and blink a whole bunch, we can. So breath is like blinking in that way, that it happens automatically, but we can also do it on purpose. But blinking is not a vital bodily function. It really just keeps the eyes moisturized. So the vital bodily function, the part that keeps us alive, breath is the only one that can be controlled consciously or unconsciously. And so that is why it is the perfect bridge to take the conscious part of us that we're very familiar with and use that breath to speak to the unconscious part of us that loves us very much, so we can build a better relationship with that part of us.
And that's the part that is a lot of times uncomfortable because we are so unfamiliar with it. And it's hard to hit that because that's that emotional part in that. Am I right? I mean, that's
Yeah,
that part that we don't want to look in the mirror and see necessarily because there's feelings attached. There's emotions attached.
yeah, absolutely. And those confusing emotions or those misunderstandings, and that's really all it is. They say it's an old Chinese proverb that says, um, sep- um, separation is the greatest. Misunderstanding is the greatest separation. Misunderstanding. So anytime we have an argument with a loved one or a friend, that it's a misunderstanding, and it's like you got this one person that wants to, is frustrated with the other person, and we just can't get on the same page, and it's just a misalignment. It's a misunderstanding is the source of all that separation. So when we use breath to build that better relationship with ourselves, we get to a place where we're able to better understand that part of ourselves, whether it be emotions or whatever, a state of your nervous system, a way that you're feeling. And when the language of breath was invented, maybe 5, 6, well, it's not very old. Jesse Coomer, the founder of this philosophy, was involved in a study, and it was an amazing study that just so many good results came out of it, or good discoveries came out of it. The study involved 100 people. They monitored the breathing patterns of these people throughout their day, their stress levels, their cortisol levels, their what they were doing, and then the results of the study showed that the state of our nervous system, as it fluctuates throughout the day, the stressor moments and the relaxed moments, the agitations, the irritations, the frustrations. Well, that state of our emotion, that state of our nervous system correlates perfectly with the patterns of breath. And it was like, wow, okay, huge, maybe not that surprising, but huge discovery to see it on paper. And then it begged this question, like this age-old chicken egg scenario. Are we feeling this way because we're breathing this way? Or are we breathing this way because we're feeling this way?
Mm.
And it was a light bulb moment for Jesse when he's called it the language of breath, because he was a language professor who got involved in alcohol and drugs. And when he found breath work, he found it, he said it healed himself. And he studied all of these different breath work philosophies, ancient and new age, and put together his own philosophy. And that's what gave birth to the language of breath. And so the results of that first study, discovering what came first, is it Do we feel this way because we're breathing this way, or are we breathing this way because we feel this way? And the answer is both. If we don't have any awareness of breath whatsoever, like if we don't pay any mind to it, if we have no attention focused on our breath, if we have no idea how, then our breathing pattern will just mirror the state of our nervous system. Think of it as
Sure.
being strapped down to a flatbed rail car on a runaway train. So these situations in our life and the state of our nervous system is just bringing us along for the ride. Hang on. Emotions are going to come in. Nervous system state is going to shift. Ideas and decisions are going to be made maybe in states of mind that we ought not to be in, or when we're making those types of decisions, or maybe we're doing something we regret, or maybe we're just living in a nervous system state that's not good for our digestion. So we use breath as that language, knowing that each breath is a word, and each series of breaths, or a breath technique, or like an intentional breath practice, then forms those words together to create sentences. And those sentences are heard by the unconscious part of us. And an example might be, say you're feeling a lot of anxiety, stress of the day, got all these things and these problems, and oh my God, I'm about to have a nervous breakdown. Well, if there's no awareness and breath in that, we tend to breathe very shallow, or maybe we're holding our breath. And another example is when you like dunk your body into a tub of freezing water. The first reaction, the natural reaction, is to inhale, fill your lungs all the way up, and then we stop breathing. And we just breathe real fast. Well, that's when hyperventilation sets in. We're not breathing properly in that situation. And the breathing pattern that we have because of that reaction just exacerbates the problem. That's when hypothermia sets in. So that's a situation just like I was saying, you're a passenger on a runaway train. You're just along for the ride. But then when we bring in awareness of breath and conscious control of breath to that situation, we can calm ourselves down. And an example is, say, simple example, soldier's breath. That's a breath where we inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 8 or 10, whatever, as long as the exhale is extended, exhale is longer than the inhale, automatically sends a signal to our autonomic nervous system to put ourselves in a state of rest and digest, a state of calm. And so it's called soldier's breath because it's commonly how soldiers are taught to fall asleep. 4 seconds in, 8 or 10 seconds out, and it automatically calms you down. But if we don't have any awareness of breath, then we will never have the advantage to use that.
Right. So these are some of the soldier's breath or whatever. That's one of the techniques that get taught in these sessions.
Yeah, so there's a million ways to breathe, right? Soldier's breath is just one of them. And
Okay.
it's just an example of, in that example of soldier's breath, when we take 10 breaths, 4 seconds in through the nose, 10 seconds out through the nose, we do that 10 times, or do it for 10 minutes. The longer you do it, the deeper you go into that state. But that's an example of that breath is speaking a sentence to our unconscious self. It's speaking a sentence to our nervous system to say, you can calm down, you're safe. You can safely process emotions. You can have a clear mind. You can deal with whatever the situation is that you're dealing with. It doesn't have to be as difficult, because when we meet any uncomfortable situation or frustration, the whole spectrum of suffering, a minor irritation like getting stuck in traffic, all the way up to this torturous level, I can't take it anymore situation, that whole spectrum of suffering, when we meet those encounters with resistance, when we're like, I don't like it, I don't like this, when we resist it, it just makes the problem worse. And
Right.
we get stuck in our thinking mind, and our ego attaches to these ideas and these beliefs and these attachments, like my thoughts, my emotions, my idea, my decision. This is my authority. And all this ego attachment just leads into everything. My house, my truck, my whatever. So when we are able to connect with our breath, we are dropping our awareness into our physical body. And it's not possible to have a thought when it's not possible to be chasing a thought while you are having awareness of breath, because we're kind of like we're very zoned in creatures. Like, we tend to be able to only think about one thing at a time. And so when we think about our breath or bring our awareness to our breath, we're dropping out of the thinking mind or out of the suffering mode into our body and connecting with our breath. And so just that alone, just dropping out of the thinking mind, has, you know, endless value to it, because
Right.
that tends to be how we operate in the thinking mind. We're always going. We wake up, we got to do this, we got to get the kids ready, we got to go to school, go to work, and then we got to get home and make dinner, and then it's just one thing to another. It's like we always feel that we need something. I need to eat. Oh, now I want a piece of ham. Oh, now I want some ice cream. Okay, now I think I need to watch TV. And now I'm tired, I want to go to bed. And you wake up. Now I got to go brush. So it's this thinking mind, doing mind over and over, and we get stuck in those modes of thinking mind, and that is where suffering lives. So this awareness of breath that we teach helps build that not just awareness of breath, but awareness of um, the internal state of our body, awareness of thought itself. And like, that's the benefit of meditation, is just catching those moments when you are chasing a thought, and then that bell goes off and you realize, oh, I'm thinking, I should come back to staring at the candle. Every time you recognize you're having a thought during a meditation is a magic moment. And the more bells that go off during a meditation practice, the more magic moments you have during a meditation practice, the better. So a lot of people will start a meditation practice and say to me something like, I can't do it. I suck at meditation because my mind is just so busy. Well, that's good. That means that they're at least aware of that. And when we, at the end of this session here tonight, we'll drop into our breath, and there might be a thought that comes in your mind because you're human. That's very normal. The value lies in recognizing, being aware of that thought. And as soon as that happens, we can come back to our anchor, whether that be our breath
Weather,
or
so just one.
oh,
Okay,
sorry,
I
what's
think we're
that?
back now. Like I said, no, that's okay. I think we're just there's just weird connections. But I think we're back. I think we're good. So yeah. So as we finish, or as we continue, and so with what I guess one of the questions that I had, that somebody messaged me on the side, is, what are the benefits of a breath therapy session? What are some of the things that it could, if they went to the breath therapy, is it therapy? Is that but
Breath
what
work.
what are some of the benefits? Breath work. Okay. So if they do that, what are some of the benefits? I mean, because I know there's health benefits to this,
Oh yeah, no,
so
no
what are some of
question.
the benefits?
Well, like I said, there's so many different ways to breathe. So in any given specific breathwork session, there's many different ways that could be done. One example could be like a deep holotropic breathwork. This is where then it's a lot of work. Like it could be like breathing like this for 40 minutes. And That's a very intense, that's like an extreme example of a very deep breath work. But during those sessions, we see a lot of people have breakthrough moments, epiphanies, um, spiritual awakenings, emotional breakthroughs, release of trauma. Some people cry, some people yell, some people laugh. It's some people just feel pure bliss. They feel like they're out of their body, and so it's almost like the breath work itself is a medicine, and and we never really know what the medicine is going to deliver, but the medicine will deliver whatever it knows that you need. So sometimes it's quite a surprise at what can happen out of a breathwork session. But most times we're not doing these very intense holotropic breathing patterns. We're just teaching awareness of breath. And the main benefits out of a breathwork session or a breathwork coaching series is building that muscle of awareness, which I guess a synonym to that could be presence, or stillness would be another word. All synonyms that mean the same thing. It's finding that calm peace of mind to be in the present moment instead of rehashing the past. Because when our thoughts drift into the past, that tends to lead to depression. But when our thoughts are worried about the future, that leads to anxiety. So
Right.
the peace exists in the present moment, no matter what's happening, no matter what irritations or ecstasy is around you. That enjoyment or that peace of mind exists only in the present.
Right. And
So nervous,
I think sometimes, sorry, I think sometimes this, we've been on the porch, we're doing this. We are really trying to connect with that inner spiritual self. That is exactly what you're talking about, where you're calling it the conscious. You know what I'm saying? And that, so um, I think what you're saying is aligning exactly with, for me and for us, just from where we've been in our studies, is here is the higher power. And we just need to replug into that. And so it's the same thing. You're trying to plug back into who you were created to be, that natural um, born self. And we disconnect to that because the world is throwing a whole lot of stuff at us, and
yeah,
it's easier to it's easier to identify with the stuff that the world's throwing at us because we're familiar with it. And so that is kind of where we're at. I'm just kind of catch people up to try to put it in porch language, maybe,
yeah.
because we you know what I'm saying. So this is kind of where we're at. And so Rhonda is asking, do you recommend this breath therapy before meditation?
Well, usually the two just coincide. So when we drop into our breath, we find ourselves being calm or drop out of the thinking mind. It's very relaxing. But while we are focused on our breath, once in a while a thought will come in, and then we'll recognize that and come back to our breath. So I would say a conscious awareness of breath is meditation. Certainly is. And then it's like a muscle that builds, because instead of just feeling like I'm going to connect with my breath during this 10-minute conscious breath session that I'm going to do for myself, it bleeds into other parts of our life. Like we find ourselves having presence and awareness when we're making our coffee or brushing our teeth or listening to a story. Instead of making or listening to somebody in a conversation and thinking, oh yeah, I'm thinking of how I can respond to that, or I'm thinking of a similar story and waiting for you to be done talking, or maybe I'm going to interrupt you because I'm ready to. Well, in that situation, we're not present with that person. We're in our thinking mind while we are listening. So the benefits of building an awareness of breath, and which you could also just say is a different way of meditating, is building that muscle of being able to be in that present moment for any point in your day. And that's why I love breath so much, because it's not like yoga, you have to roll out the mat. Exercise, you need to go to the gym or put on your running shoes. Um, all these other things require you to set aside separate time, but you have your breath the moment you wake up you have conscious control of your breath the moment you wake up. While you walk to the bathroom, brushing your teeth, walking to your car, driving your car, um, while you're walking from your car to your office, while you interact with people at your office, there is never a moment where you don't have your breath.
Right.
There's just, and the very first breath you ever take when you come out of your mother as a baby is an inhale. The first breath you ever take is that inhale. And then, but it requires muscles to breathe, to inhale. So the last breath we ever take is an exhale. So it's interesting that the first one is an inhale, the last one is an exhale. So we can compare life, however long it is, as to one big breath.
Right.
And when we reconnect with it, it is like reuniting with an old friend that we've had with us forever, because we have. So it's very familiar. Once we reconnect with it, it's nothing weird. And yes, there are spiritual benefits that can come about from the language of breath practice as I teach it, but that medicine is most definitely hidden in the cheese. The way we teach it is scientific. So this is an interesting thing about the nervous system. Our nervous system is the brain connected to all these millions of nerve endings in our bodies. But what most people don't know is that 80% of the connections in our nervous system are leading from the body to the brain. 20% of the connections lead from the brain to the body. So what does that mean? It means that our brain's number one job is to listen. It is not as much of a command center as we think. And the vagus nerve, this really huge nerve that leads from the base of our brain all the way down and connects to our heart and our gut. And most of those connections are leading from our heart and our gut back up to our brain. So I ask you, where is the command center in our body, if there is one? It would be right here in this core. It would be our heart in our gut. And that's where we get the terms like broken heart, gut feeling, this intuition. That's where it comes from. It is this part of our body, which is right where we're breathing, that connects to the brain. And when we build that breath practice, that awareness of breath practice, it synchronizes the frequency of our heartbeat to the frequency of our brain. And this is scientifically proven with instruments that can measure this, that the frequency of our brains and our heart are normally out of sync. But when we sit, even with our breath, and connect for 5 minutes, doesn't matter what breath pattern you're taking, just make sure it's deep and even, and we focus on the heart, we are synchronizing the heart to the brain. And that is the 10-minute practice I'd like to lead to end this session tonight.
I think that's great. Just one quick question. Brenda's wondering when another class is that people could sign up for.
Sure. We don't have one on like a groups class on the schedule right now, but we offer individual breathwork sessions any day of the week. Well, Monday through Friday, usually.
Okay.
And we also do it virtually online. So anybody, no matter where you are, can connect with myself or one of we have multiple breath coaches in our network. We have Hispanic speaking breath coaches, if that language is better for you. And we also hold periodic group breathwork sessions. The only contraindications to doing deep, heavy breathwork are uncontrolled high blood pressure and epilepsy and pregnant or nursing. And it doesn't mean that those 3 classes can't do breathwork, but it's important to know that we don't overdo it and don't do any super ventilation. So we absolutely can teach awareness of breath, and there's 1,000 different breath techniques that someone like that can do. But those are, if we talk about risk, super ventilation with epilepsy can cause a seizure. So there's just some things to be aware of there. But we're not going to do any of that tonight.
Okay. So I'm excited. So, all right. Whenever
Okay,
you're ready, if there's anything else, teach us some of the teach us.
okay, all right. And I just have like 10 minutes planned for this, so it's going to be, I wish I had some music to play, but I don't know how to do that on StreamYard. So it's just going to be whatever the background noise is, let it be. Close your eyes. Get into a comfortable position and breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. And while you breathe, just bring your awareness to the physical sensation of that air coming into your nose. Slowly trace it going up your nostrils, through your sinus, down your trachea, into your lungs. Feel it reach the bottom of your belly, and then slowly trace it back out. Not trying to change your breath or control your breath, just noticing your own natural breath. Maybe on the inhale, the air feels cooler, dry. Notice if it feels any different on the way out. Bring your awareness to the muscles you're using to breathe. Notice if your belly is coming out. Maybe your ribs are expanding. Maybe your chest is lifting up. No wrong observations, just noticing your own natural breath wave. Notice how deep your breath is. Notice if the exhale is longer than the inhale, or maybe the other way around. Now I invite you to deepen your breath. As you breathe in through your nose, maybe you slow your breath down just a tad, but expanding, finding more expansion in the lungs. And maybe sticking the belly out as you inhale, expanding the ribs, lifting the chest, finding extra expansion in your lungs as you breathe in more air than you normally do. Slowly relaxing the chest and then the ribs and then the belly. Just bringing your awareness to deepening and lengthening your breath. As you do this, I'd like to explain that there's little things in our lungs called alveoli, and they live along the walls of the lining of the lungs. Our lungs are like an upside down tree. We have the branch or the tree trunk, trachea, and then the two main branches into the lungs. And then those branches get smaller and smaller and smaller. And at the end of each branch lives the alveoli, just like where the fruit would be on a tree. And those alveoli are the magic little nodes that take the oxygen out of the air in your lungs and put it right in your bloodstream. Most of the alveoli live in the bottom half of the lungs. So on your next inhale, I invite you to imagine that right behind your belly button is a blueberry. And as you begin your inhale, let that blueberry expand to the size of a softball or a grapefruit. And then after that, let your ribs expand like you're opening up your wings. And at the top of the inhale, let your chest come up. So it's belly, ribs, and then chest on the inhale. Just practice that on your next inhale. Belly, ribs, chest. And then as you exhale, focus on relaxing your chest first, then your ribs, and then your belly last. The point of this is that when we breathe in this pattern with belly, ribs, chest on the inhale, and chest, ribs, belly on the exhale, we're breathing perfectly, just like a newborn baby breathes. Belly, ribs, chest, ribs, belly. And what that's doing is it's putting the air in the bottom part of your lungs first. And it's exhaling the air out of the bottom part of your lungs last. So it's giving your alveoli the longest amount of time possible to work with the oxygen in the air in your lungs during one breath wave. So as you breathe your full baby breath wave, let's move to a cadence of 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Maybe we can get all on the same page here. So let's all at the same time take a deep inhale in through your nose, all the way in, expand, expand, expand. When you get to the top, hold it and give yourself a smile and sigh it out. Now in through the nose, 5 seconds, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back in, 2, 3, 4, 5, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back in, out, back in, and out, back in, belly, ribs, chest, expand, let go, chest, ribs, belly, just relax, back in, 2, 3, 4, 5, let go, 2, 3, 4, 5. So in for 5 seconds, out for 5 seconds. So on your own, now breathing at this cadence of 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, we're just going to do a scan of the body. So bring your awareness as you breathe 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. Let your awareness rest on your forehead. Moving down to your nose and your cheekbones. Just relaxing your jaw. Relaxing your mouth, your neck. Bring your awareness to the tops of your shoulders, your upper arms, your elbows, your forearms, the backs of your hands, your palms, all the way out to your fingertips. And on your next inhale, let your awareness wash back up your arms once again to the top of your shoulders. And as you exhale, let that awareness now melt down into your chest. You feel the muscles you're using to breathe. Core, your belly button, all of your breathing muscles. Bring your awareness to your abdomen. Your hips, your glutes, your upper legs, your knees, space behind your knees and your kneecaps. Letting that awareness now melt down into your shins and your calves, your ankles, your heels, tops of your feet, the bottoms of your feet, all the way out to the tips of your toes. This is awareness of breath and body. Using your breath to drop out of the thinking mind and into your physical body. A place not so familiar to some of us. Whenever you're ready, take a deep inhale in through your nose, deepest breath you've taken all day, all the way in, all the way in, all the way in, and hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Now let it all the way out with a sigh. Hold your breath out. Empty lungs. Hold. Now you can return to your natural breath. Open your eyes. And just take a little mental note, or with a pen and paper on a journal, just write down how you feel. If you felt any sort of shift in your nervous system or your awareness, maybe you noticed a lot of thinking going on. That's okay. Just take note of how that made you feel. And that was just a little 10-minute sample of breath awareness. And that's where we begin in our coaching: awareness of breath, awareness of body, and then we just build off those fundamentals.
Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. I just it was wonderful. Thank you guys. Everybody's here just saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that is wonderful. And this is something that is available. I mean, a lot of the people are not from Reedsburg that are watching. A lot of the people are not from. Is this a pretty common thing, or can they do this online with you? I mean, can they connect with the people that, I mean, you said you can do it online, so we can do this? I mean, this is something that they can connect with somebody to walk through this.
Absolutely. And we offer free consultations to assess whether we can help somebody or whether they want to work with us. But then outside of that scope, the Language of Breath Network has 175 breath workers all over the world. So
Okay.
whether it's somebody you want to meet with in person or virtually, there's a big wide world of Language of Breath workers out there. So I'd be happy to either coach you personally or give you a referral to someone that will be a good fit.
Well, I so appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you everybody for joining us tonight. I am, like I said, we are on a journey in 2026, connecting our inner selves, our spiritual selves with that, with our natural self, I guess, because with our God power. And I'm excited because, like I said, this is just a piece. This is a nugget that they could use to reconnect, that absolutely could take them. And the health benefits, I was reading about this before. Some of the health benefits of the breath work are just amazing. And so continue to do this: anxiety, stress, depression. There's a whole lot of things. As I was reading, your heart, and things. So folks, as you're listening tonight and as you're doing this, taking the time to really find those resources. And I mean, what is the name of the website that you have for this?
You can find us at headwatersage.com or
Headwater
Blake's.
Sage.
Yes, that's our coaching business that's outside of the foundation. Otherwise, Blake's Tin Man. So whichever one rings in your ear the most, blakestinman.com or headwatersage.com. You can find
Okay.
us.
And we will be putting them on our pages. So I will just be putting links to them in the comments after this. So, but yeah, so, oh, Chad said he tried with COPD and emphysema, and so plus brain problems, but he was with us. And so he was here. And,
All right,
so
awesome.
yeah, so there are lots of benefits. So, is there anything you want to wrap up with before we end our night?
Just this is nervous system 101. Like we can either be like a passenger on a runaway train and have our nervous system in whatever state we're going to automatically be in, or we can be the master of it. And like you said, the health benefits are when we're in fight or flight mode, our body's not putting energy to digestion. It's not putting energy towards hormonal balance. It's when we're in combat mode, our heart rate is elevated, our blood pressure is higher. So when we drop out of that into our rest and digest mode, that's when we're able to digest our food properly. And epidemic right now across the world is that we tend to live in combat mode, even when our minds feel calm, from the moment we wake up to the moment we go to bed. So this is hugely beneficial to shift the state of our nervous system so our bodies can rest, digest, repair, relax, replenish, rejuvenate. All these R words live in the rest and digest mode. So thank you so much for having me. This is a pleasure. I love
Well,
teaching
thank you
language
so
across.
much for joining us again. And like I said, I want to thank everybody else for hopping on tonight. You know, we're going to be putting pieces of clips from this on over the next couple days. There will be different little clips that we'll be putting out there. Share those clips, you guys. Let's reach people and let them know that there are resources out there that are available, and there are resources out there and other non-traditional therapies that we became. I think some of the therapies that we do now, even talk therapy, medications, are becoming traditional, and this is more of a holistic approach that I think is something that if you can connect with this is what resonates with you. These are available. This holistic approach is available, and it is beautiful. So I want to thank you once again. Thank you for starting the foundation. I am very sorry for the reason that you started the foundation, but at the same time, your son is living through so many people right now, and he is, it is making a huge difference in the area. So once again, thank you for your time, and thank you for, and there he is. That must be Blake.
Yep, that's Blake.
There is Blake. Okay, that is awesome. Well, thank you, and your family for everything that you're doing to help your community and to help the area around us. So thank
Oh,
you again, and thank you everyone else for joining us. Have a great night, everybody. God bless. Hope to see you in the morning.
thank
Thanks.
you.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.